I want to make sure that I understand. If the town board votes a moratorium, at this point in time, you do not know how long you will vote a moratorium for. Is that correct? The second thing is that you, during the moratorium period, you will discuss roads, investigate roads, investigate clean air, and investigate water at the during the moratorium. So you're telling us that you could vote a moratorium in tonight. It could be a 5-year moratorium, but you have no money to spend on getting the experts in to evaluate clean air issues and clean water issues, correct?
Partially. Typically, a moratorium can't go over a year. We just won't stand up in the courts for longer than a year. So I would say we have a year window. We were looking at maybe 6 months.
And so the people that would be doing the investigation are you guys.
Well, that's unfortunately why we're here.
Okay.
In that regard. And we don't have to be experts. I mean, what we're trying to figure out is what we can do. And there are some models out there. Some towns have approved them already. They have their own little nuances. I know the one in Columbus was a 3-2 vote, so at least that board was a little undecided.
The road use was, well, yeah, you're
Okay.
correct. That's-
Okay, so, so it's not clear cut. I mean, this stuff it's not that easy to say yes or no. And we could get sued for not doing anything, I would imagine. I don't know that for sure, but maybe not for the takings and things like that, but I'm sure some people have a value that they place on their quality of life. I live on a county road, so, our road use laws wouldn't really affect me much. And I'm concerned what happens when trucks come through our town, and how does that affect us locally? Because that will affect our taxes too, and we don't have any control over that. Okay, so those are the kinds of things I don't have any answers. I have more questions than I do answers. And it's not that we've been necessarily sitting here with our, sitting on our hands. It's the county meetings I've been going to, and I go to other counties. I go to Broome a lot, or Binghamton a lot. When they were having their big meetings, nobody has any answers. And in fact, we belong to the Association of Towns. I've talked to the attorney up there, Michael, quite a few times. He didn't feel that the bands would even get on and get held in court or held up in court. So everybody's guessing what may happen. I don't think we need to guess. We just need to figure out what we have available to us. We may not be able to do anything about air quality. Set up testing stations and all that. The thing that scares me on the road use laws is somebody has to enforce them. We don't have anybody in the town of Pittsfield that can measure and know how to enforce them. What a lot of towns in the county's doing is they're putting it on their highway superintendents. Now, I don't know, maybe they're gonna send them off to school, I'm not sure about that, but I would have to think that, that's a pretty weak link in this process if we're gonna count on the local highway superintendent to, fight one of the large oil companies about whether they damaged our roads or not. So there's a lot more that it's not known than is known. The whole idea with a moratorium, or just taking the time, is to say we need to figure out what things that we have available to us, what are the risks. We may get sued, we may not get sued. If the moratorium's on less than what the state holds out their moratorium, it's a moot point, because the state takes precedence over that anyway. So unless you want to sue the state, nobody's suing the state right now, to my knowledge anyway, because we're all waiting for them. So there's been leases out there probably for 3 or 4 years. Why aren't they going after the state for takings and all that kind of stuff?
Well,
Yes.
just one question. What form or what boilerplate are you going to use for the moratorium?
I got an example of one that our attorney gave us.
Is that used with reference to the one that the Community Environmental Defense Council?
No. No. Like I say, we've tried to stay out of each other's camp. You know, I want to keep it on the up and up, and we want to do it for legitimate purposes. I have no end game here, other than I think we need to come up with some strategies for what may be inevitable anyway. So.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one thing, or say one thing? I think for me, the most important thing, and we just keep seeing it bypass this, is for those of us who actually live in this town, whether you're for it or against it, I really want to know, as close as I can, to what the majority of the people of the town want. Not just the ones who talk the loudest or the most persistent. I really want to know the majority, whether I agree with them or not. Now, that being said, the board did ask the county if there was any way we could do this on a vote, and they said we couldn't. But, you know, I say we have a tax roll, and isn't there any way that we couldn't let people come here and write next to their name what they want? I want to know what people really think.
Right.
Yes, you're right.
I would be curious
Send a
under what
survey out.
municipal law the county says you could not put this to a
They
vote.
said we could not.
You
put
can't
on
put
the
it to
ballot.
referendum until they
You
could not do it.
You could do a referendum on anything.
But you can't do it and then turn it into a law, you cannot. Believe me, that's what I wanted to do, because I still say, whether I agree with my neighbor or I don't, it's majority rule, it's still America, and that's still how we're supposed to do stuff. And even if I don't like it, I'd be happy to take it if that's the way the majority of people feel. I don't like being shoved by a small group. Either way. You know, so is it the most, you know, as good as a vote? In a way, it might be better, because so many people aren't even registered to vote. And how do you get them out there? I mean, I don't know. To me, I would rather see this board put an ad in the paper for a couple times, post it and say, you live in Pittsfield, come here. You own property, we'll put you write it in. Is it going to be scientific? No. And maybe some people wouldn't even trust the results. But I could see these people come and write their name in this book.
That's,
Yes or no?
if you're gonna do it that way, definitely do it that way. Don't do it through a survey. Guilford.
No, I wouldn't, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But
Guilford-
then yes, what I do, but I mean, you know, they could come, they could write it themselves, they could put their driver's license.
Guilford-
Whatever, we could come up with something.
Yeah, Guilford, New York
Again,
ran
it's
into a lot of
scientific
problems with
knowledge.
surveying.
But I really wanna know what all my neighbors think, not just some.
Also understand that you'll get about a 15 to 20% turnout with something like that.
But again, if it's important.
That's your economics
they'll come, you
education,
know.
isn't it?
I just still would wanna know what my neighbor wants.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
I think that survey should be done.
I agree.
Absolutely right.
I disagree. The Constitution of the United States
Well,
says the
I'm saying
landowner has
that's what I
certain
wanna
rights.
know. If people
I
feel that
applaud
way,
you. That's a good plan.
I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you because the Constitution of the United States says the landowner has certain rights. And just because 20 of my neighbors don't want a well, doesn't mean they can shut
No,
me
but
down.
majority.
I'm
hold
just
on,
saying
I'm not saying that, of course
Yeah.
everybody has a right there. That's not what I want to know everybody's opinion.
Read the preamble, it says promote the general welfare. General, not just yours.
It always is.
Or just yours. Or just yours.
For or against it?
You're not gonna stop the welfare.
No, they're not gonna stop it. They stop it, they're gonna be one broke town and we're surrounded by a bunch of rich ones.